They charged me with resisting arrest.
Get that confidence in jail.
I object.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Allegedly Bravo. I'm Lauren, and this is my co-host, Cash.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. And wow, that was a rough start.
That was a rough start. So, if we make it through this episode in one piece, I don't know if Mercury's in retrograde. Have we checked that? But the Zoom is not cooperating.
The Wi-Fi is acting up. It's crazy. Lauren was frozen. I was frozen. Our voices were
jiggling back and forth. For those of you who don't know, Cash and I don't live near each other at all. So we do this over Zoom.
And we're about to live a lot farther away from each other.
Oh,
I know. Lauren's moving.
I'm moving on out.
Moving out of Cali.
And I'll provide updates later. I'm going to be a little mysterious for now.
Oh, you're not going to tell people where you're going?
No.
That's kind of fun.
I know. Okay, so we are here today to give just a complete update into the Erika Girardi of it all.
Oh, you guys.
Holy fuck.
Wow. We haven't talked about Erika in quite some time because frankly, we were burnt out with the episodes of Beverly Hills, all of the articles. There was so much drama, and I feel like we were almost to the point where we were beating a dead horse.
It felt like it.
And now we've gotten a little bit of movement, and Erika is finally really starting to get brought into all of it.
Oh, yeah. It's all the shits hit all the fans. And like we said, we took a little break from Erika, but also we didn't, because if you go to our Instagram, I definitely read the Erika Jane memoir and did a little compare and contrast with what exactly Erika said in her book and her memoir versus what's happening on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills currently. And I'm just kind of pointing out the contradictions that I see. Obviously, this is so that we can all make our own conclusions. We just want to keep the court of public opinion abreast of the situation.
Yes. And it was true investigative journalism on your part. And I was actually thinking with the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills reunion filmed yesterday, you guys.
Filmed yesterday.
And I kid you not, during my workday, I was sitting there it is being filmed right now. What is happening? I was so excited. We commented on Andy Cohen's post and said that he better hold Erika Jane accountable. Mm-hmm. And in the court of public opinion, does that mean Andy Cohen's our judge?
I think in the court of public opinion, Andy Cohen is more, I would say not so much our judge, but our attorney representing both sides. He's our...
Is he though?
I don't know, because he's so fucking shady, and you can tell who he likes, who he's going easy on, who he's not. I don't know if he'll...
Somebody brought up, I don't remember what podcast I listened to. I don't know if it was the Morning Toast or Bitch Sesh, but they made a good point. They're if he takes the position that he did during the Potomac reunion with Monique, remember how he was really weird with her and wasn't... If he does that with Erika, it's just going to be bad. I mean, he needs to drill into her, the blatant inconsistencies, bring in PK when we're talking to Erika, because PK was bringing up good points.
And here's the thing. So let's just say, for sake of our own feelings, you got to kind of cushion our expectations a little bit. Let's say he can't talk anything about the legal stuff. Okay.
Why?
I don't know, but let's say she let's just do the worst case possible so that we're less disappointed when it comes out.
Well, that's interesting that you say that, because do you remember before Beverly Hills aired, people were asking Andy, is Erika going to talk about it? And he said, I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised at how open she is. Do you think now, watching, we're 10 episodes in, do you think that she has been open?
So I think that if you watched only the first couple of these episodes where it was her showing up to Kyle's house and Sutton's Parisian party, and that you would kind of think she's being kind of open. She's it's really painful. He fell off a cliff. You would think that she's telling these big secrets, but it's
we use Cliff loosely.
Cliff is like, what did he trip on a fucking curb? Like, for God's sakes, like,
Sorry to interrupt you.
it's okay. So it's just like, I think that, I don't even remember what I was saying.
Oh no.
It's okay. We'll remember later. But anyway, long story short, I think all I'm trying to say is like, God, I think I was being long-winded. Is this how Dorit feels? Oh my God.
Okay, really quickly, can we just have like a brief detour, a segue?
Please.
Do you think they're being a little mean to Dorit?
Here's the deal. I think we don't have enough. I've never seen Dorit be long-winded. So I'm kind of like, I don't get it. But at the same point, it's like, I think we don't really have anything from Dorit. So it's like, the only thing we really have is that she's like long-winded, I guess.
I disagree with you.
Oh.
With Dorit not having anything, because a lot of people have said that she's kind of sitting in the back. She doesn't really have a strong presence this season. She doesn't have a storyline.
Yeah.
I think though that I think not only Dorit's storyline, but I think everyone else's storylines have been overshadowed, obviously, by Erika. And so Erika and Sutton and this whole drama is taking precedent over everybody else. And because I think Dorit has a strong storyline in like her wedding gown collection.
But that came out of nowhere. Like, I feel like we didn't even get a warm up to that. It was just like, hi, PK, look, wedding dresses. It's like, I would have liked to see her try to plan it or draw a dress.
I think the footage is there. I just don't think they're able to edit it in because there's so much with Erika and Sutton. I think truthfully, we spent way too much time with the Sutton Crystal drama.
Yeah, but I think they had to give Crystal and Sutton some drama in the beginning because at that point, none of this had happened.
Yeah.
So like while they were filming, that's what they got. And then no one expected any of this. Literally.
But it's like, let's keep that to like 1, maybe 2 episodes, because I just would have liked to get a little bit more from the other cast members, because we're getting obviously a lot with Kyle and Kathy. We're getting a lot of Erika and Sutton. And I just need more Garcelle and Dorit.
I love Garcelle.
They don't like each other.
No, they don't like each other at all.
You know who else?
Who?
Other two that don't like each other? Lisa Rinna and Garcelle. Garcelle sees right through Lisa Rinna's bullshit.
Lisa Rinna, we'll get into Lisa Rinna in our next episode, but like Lisa Rinna is really, she's out there this season. Like,
let's
we'll save it.
We'll save it because next week's gonna be crazy because we're gonna go do a deep dive and wow. And you know what? That actually, comes full circle.
It does.
Because Rinna's really, really standing behind Erika and has been her fierce and loyal supporter. And can I ask you, where the fuck did that come from?
Rinna's always been vaguely obsessed with Erika, in my opinion. Like, she literally skinned her and wore her for Halloween.
Oh my It's so funny. It's so true. But do you think that she's blindly loyal to Erika, or do you think that she's just blindly loyal to anybody who is like the it person that season? Like she just jumps on the coattails of other people's drama.
Yeah. So like Erika's name is in all the press right now. So yeah, that's a really good point. Cause look at how she is with Amelia and Scott Disick. It's like, okay, like not to bring up Yolanda, even though that seems to be someone we bring up this season, but like Yolanda
twice, by the way.
Yeah. Right. Like leave her out of it. Like she has Lyme's disease. She's just trying to recover, like for God's sakes. So I was going to say that it's like Yolanda never talked about like Gigi dating, that Australian guitar player when they were dating. So it's like weird,
oh, yeah.
And he was like really popular. So it's, it's like Lisa Rinna didn't really have to share that, but that's her storyline, is her daughter's life. Again, it's like, does Amelia get a stipend of this? Like, and I know what's the other one's name?
Delilah.
Okay. Delilah, like, I think it was kind of like the Gigi Bella Hadid thing where like okay, we need to stop talking about this.
Yeah, no, you need to cut all of this out because this is all about Rinna.
Okay. So it is full circle actually, because it's kind of like the whole thing is Rinna blindly following behind Erika. And we'll talk about it, but let's go through. I think what we're going to talk about today is we're going to go through the timeline so that we're all caught up. And then we're going to discuss the complaint that brings Erika into this whole fucking mess.
Yes. And this is, we've mentioned before in prior episodes that this isn't just one lawsuit, it's multiple lawsuits. And before we jump in, we just want to remind everyone that we are in civil land, we're not in criminal land, because we keep hearing people bring up like, oh, Tom's going to prison. Erika could potentially go to prison. She could potentially go to jail. This isn't a Teresa Giudice, Joe Giudice situation right now. It could be,
right,
but we're not there yet. We're in bankruptcy court.
Right.
We're in bankruptcy court, and we are trying to get the money back to pay the victims who were
stolen from,
robbed.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely robbed. And so I just want to make that clear because people get that confused.
People do get that confused. So like the only thing that's keeping it, the reason why it's not criminal and it is civil is because there hadn't been enough information for it to be a criminal thing. Like no one had really.
We don't know. Yeah. Like the prosecutors could be collecting evidence and waiting, or they may not have enough for like say wire fraud or any type of embezzlement, but we'll see. And they may be waiting for the civil case to wrap up, but generally criminal cases take priority.
But here there's just so many people that need their money.
Here we're just focused right now as we're focused on paying the victims and paying people who have been owed money for quite some time.
Yeah.
And those people that owe money is Tom Girardi himself, Girardi and Keese, which is the law firm that Tom ran, and now Erika Jane.
Right. And now Erika Jane.
So before we get started, do we want to do like a little bit of a timeline to get people caught up? Because I feel like there's been so much confusion between what was happening in reality with the filing of documents and also what's happening in the Beverly Hills episodes.
Like universe.
The universe. I feel like it's a little clouded and confusing because we're seeing things play out in real time, but then they're bringing up old issues and it's like, where are we?
Where are we? And it's hard to like, and remember, everything went so fucking fast that it's like, holy fuck. Okay. So let's start with literally November 3rd, 2020.
What a day in history.
The day the nation was rocked when Erika filed for divorce.
Yeah.
From Tom Girardi.
Have you ever watched those? Like, have you ever seen a 30 for 30 episode on ESPN?
Not on purpose.
Okay. Well, they've done these documentaries before where there's been like really big moments in history, like certain days in history where all of these events have happened on this one single day. I feel like we're going to need a Bravo 30 for 30 episode on November 3rd.
Oh yeah. 2020. Exactly. 1,000%. So Erika files for divorce. Remember, she notifies the women at 9:15 a.m. via text message. Well, at 1:16 p.m. is when People Magazine released the statement. So this is like, so can you imagine, Cash? Like, I know this is different because like we are BFFFL, but like say we were like friends and worked together and didn't have like even okay. Say it's you and me, and you text me at 9:15 a.m. and you're all, hey, by the way, I'm getting a divorce.
I mean, I would be shocked and slightly offended because I would assume that our relationship was strong enough for you to be able to disclose that type of information to me.
Right. But to have like 4 hours to process it or however much that is, like, that's crazy. So her statement said in People Magazine, I have great love and respect for Tom and for our years and the lives we built together. It is my absolute wish to proceed through this process with respect and with the privacy that both Tom and I deserve. I request others give us that privacy as well. And I'm like, okay, so please give us privacy, but also we're going to just steal from everybody also, by the way.
Well, so you said November 3rd. So this is when they announced her divorce. And this is when they had just gotten back from Tahoe, where she was, chumming it up and telling everyone that Tom's so smart. He's great.
Yeah.
And then 24 hours later, drops the news that she was getting a divorce, because any sane person who was contemplating divorcing their husband of 20 something years, I would assume would show some type of emotion and some type of reserve and openly talking about and bragging about her husband that's about to be her ex-husband in 24 hours.
Well, and it's like she literally told Garcelle, oh, Tom, oh yeah, just got off the phone with him. He's good. He's working, hard working dog, man. It's like,
yeah.
Okay, so this is where I just want to say off the bat, like if you're Garcelle and you're Sutton and you're all that, and you're hearing just today that like everything's totally fine and Tom's at work and you guys love each other, and then you're going to go home, wake up and have a text message being like, by the way, like Tom and I are calling it quits. I would be like, holy fuck, like this whole entire weekend, I don't even know who that person is.
So I think this, for anybody who is of a higher intellect, like I believe Sutton is, this was red flag number one for her.
Yeah.
The way that this was handled. Okay. So
who do you think this wasn't a red flag for?
I think Lisa Rinna, Cal Richards, a lot of people were very maybe naive to it in the beginning and didn't understand what was coming.
Yeah.
And
I agree with that.
So now they're back in LA, right? After this news, they're processing it.
So here's the other thing. Remember, Erika told them all like, oh, I left him. I drove him to work and left him. So is she saying that on Monday the 2nd, she took Tom to work, never picked him up?
No, just left him there.
Yeah. Or is she saying that on, it's like, I don't know.
Who cares?
So then the 3rd was Kyle's election party. So this is all happening. And then that night they're having the election party. And then 5 days later, on November 8th, on or about, that was Sutton's France party. So Sutton's France party, only happened 5 days after Erika like rocked the whole world telling us she's divorcing her man.
And that's when she makes the weird comment about giving up her Lamborghini and she just drives a Range Rover.
Yeah. And she's never had a Range Rover. It's her first one. It's like, okay, fuck you.
Yeah.
I've never had one either.
Oh my God.
Okay. So then November toots around. I guess they're all hunky dory. And on December 2nd is when Jay Edelson files in the Lion Air case that, he believes that Tom, stole the money from these people, and it kind of gets the ball rolling. And he accuses Erika of like funneling their assets through like her divorce. And that's why she divorced him. That was the accusation. So then December 14th, this is 2 weeks later this is when they all go to Palm Desert and they're in Kyle's house. December 14th is when the assets get frozen. So everyone kind of knows that Erika's going through a lawsuit and a divorce by the time they get to Kyle's house. Mm-hmm. But at Kyle's house is obviously when the assets are frozen. And it's when people are always asking, like, where's Keese? Well, Keese from Girardi Keese and two other people, Robert Finnetery and Jill O'Callahan, sued Tom to dissolve their business known as 1126 Wilshire Partnership. That's the building that Girardi Keese is in.
Because everybody in the firm, right? All of the partners had they owned that property, correct? Or was it Tom himself that owned it?
Well, that building, I think that was, I don't think I think they're business partners. I don't think they're lawyer partners.
The business partners, they own that property together, correct?
Correct.
Okay. But it wasn't just in Tom's name.
Right. The partnership is in owning the building.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Not in the law firm. So I'm wondering if that's why Keese's name was on the building. I don't know. So anyway, I guess Tom allegedly never paid them any money. So then in December 18th, the bankruptcy's filed. Christmas Eve, they filed to appoint trustees. That was super fun. And then in January, all the shit hits the fan and the liquidation process begins. January 21st is when, Tom can't pay the cleaning lady. Remember that whole trope? Yeah. And it was like so sad and upsetting. And then the next day, January 21st, Tom's family files for, that's an alliteration, the conservatorship. the 22nd ish. Okay. So this is on or about the same day, couple days within, is Kathy's dinner party from hell.
Oh.
So I think that's why, if you put this into perspective, if I were Sutton, like we just said, she already had the red flag out in Tahoe.
Question for you really quickly. Yeah. You said we're in January, correct?
Correct.
And dinner party from hell is taking place.
Correct.
I would just like to point out one thing. The conservatorship has not been filed yet. Right?
The request for a temporary one is filed on the 21st. Like that's when his family goes in to be like,
okay, because something I find fascinating is that Erika, throughout those dinner parties that predate the dinner party from hell, she uses the term diminished capacity a lot.
Yep. I was hoping you'd bring this up, Cash.
Yeah.
I find that interesting too. And I think that's also why, if I were Sutton, I would feel the same way Sutton does. Like, sorry, I'm totally team Sutton here. And if you don't agree with me, like, I don't care. But if you had the wherewithal to be like, this is weird that we just had this Tahoe thing. This is weird now that we're in La Quinta and all of a sudden Tom's car accident is really bad and he hit his head. And now all of a sudden we're using words like diminished capacity, like you said. And now all of a sudden, the day about before Kathy's dinner party, Tom's family files for a conservatorship. I can totally understand why Sutton would be like, I don't believe this for a second, because I didn't believe it for a second when it was coming out.
And we still don't.
I mean, I hope it's not true.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the 24th I got all this by looking at outfits on Instagram. So timeline might be a little bit off, but it's on or about. So on or about January 24th is when PK told Dorito Chip, Erika could say something about the victims. And it's not that Tom stole that's alleged. It's that he's
diminished capacity.
So that's January. And
dude,
then
who would have ever thought PK would be the voice of reason?
Oh my God. I was laughing so hard because I was like, okay, of course PK is going around like, oh yeah, like my bankruptcy was for like $500 million or whatever. It wasn't that bad. This one's so bad.
Yeah.
These are people. I mean, it's like, yeah, I'm kind of on PK's side, like stealing money from other companies, whatever, stealing money from people. Yeah. Fuck you, Tom.
PK's our moral compass.
Yeah. Our moral compass of PK. Oh God, that's scary. So February 1st, the conservatorship hits the fan. February 2nd, the brothers appointed conservator. February 5th, the Pasadena home is burglarized. So this is like that scenes from next week where Erika's like, oh my God, Tom. All of a sudden we know all about Tom. Like, wasn't she not talking to Tom? And then the clip is like, he hit his head and got burglarized and had eye surgery.
And
it just so happens to be that picture that we saw Oot and a Boot with Tom's black eye.
Yeah. I have a question. So in that the clip for next week, she says that the house was burglarized. Tom gets up and confronts the burglar. Then he has eye surgery. Something about her son and then a car crashing. Is the son the one that crashed the car, or is Tom the one that crashed the car?
Unclear.
Okay. And what is up with the lack of emotion that's coming from her and this monotone voice where she is delivering these like dialogues and monologues?
I'm going to tell you, she's blaming it on the Lexapro.
Okay, that's not a fair excuse coming from two women that are on antidepressants.
Yeah, 1,000%.
I never, I don't think one of the listed side effects, and there are many, is a monotone voice.
Yeah, I agree.
So anyways, it's so frustrating. So
I know, she's so annoying.
So house burglarized in February. Where are we at?
Yeah. So February 5th, the house is burglarized. February 9th, they go, ordered to evict Tom. Tom's brother opposes the eviction, but he gets evicted anyway. The end of February, the 26th, is when he's officially diagnosed with late onset Alzheimer's and dementia. And also he's evicted at the end of it. Okay. So then in May of 2021, the trustees ask for a Miss Charlene Fujimoto to show up for a deposition and bring a bunch of documents. And that's because Miss Fujimoto was Tom Girardi's secretary for the last a lot of years. It didn't specify how many, it just said numerous. And they asked her to bring communications about the assets, the finances, and all communications like after November 15th, 2021. I find that date to be very interesting. And I wonder why they picked November 15th, 2021. Is it because it was a month before all the shit hit the fan? Or does that date have a specific purpose? I'm not sure. But Erika filed for divorce 12 days before that. So that's why I wonder about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
The timing is suspect.
The timing is super suspect, but just like all things in this case, you know?
Yeah.
June 25th, the Rio Gomez family asked if they can have their stay lifted and that they can collect from Erika Jane directly. The trustee for Girardi Keys opposes the motion.
Yes, but on June 24th, Erika had actually filed a notice of motion and motion for reconsideration from an order that granted Ronald Richards and so they really appointed him as special counsel on behalf of the trustee. And so on June 24th, Erika filed a motion saying, nah, bitch, reconsider it. Don't want it.
Yeah. So she's bringing all of these motions. Like she's, she's writing letters. You can see her. I mean, we can see just basically her Twitter is like blowing up.
And I will say,
hitting the fan, and she's fighting with that guy a lot, Ronald Richards. She's going to fucking bat with him.
Oh, well, I have a fun quote that I pulled from the amended complaint that is so hilarious. I think everybody is going to laugh because it's very applicable to the way that how Erika acted at the dinner party from hell with Sutton.
Ugh. Well, then just last and final, the brother, I forget his name. I keep wanting to call him Andrew, like from The Crown. Andrew. Yeah, the brother. I'll call him the brother. The brother was ordered to sit for a deposition and bring documents about all his communications. So then last is when they brought Erika into it. And that's where we're at.
Guys. And they brought Erika in and she's not loving it. Let's just say that.
Not loving it.
So remember, we have two different trustees. We have a trustee that represents, or trustee for Girardi Keys, which is the firm. And then you have a trustee for Tom Girardi's personal estate. So this amended complaint was filed on behalf of the trustee for Girardi Keys, the law firm.
Their law firm, correct.
They said, hey, we need to amend our original complaint because we need to let the court know that there's some shady shit going on with Erika Jane and Erika Girardi Global.
Yeah.
Or Erika Jane Global.
EJ Global.
EJ Global. So just as a little bit of background, EJ Global was created in 2008. Erika Jane was the sole owner. She was the only person, I believe, that was an employee of EJ Global. She had 100% control of everything.
According to the document she filed with the Secretary of State. This is undisputed.
And according to the complaint, all of this information is going to be pulled from the complaint. And so they're saying, hey, look, she formed this in 2008. And then she went on to form Pretty Mess Inc., which was created in 2021. So
Pretty Mess Inc. was formed in 2021?
2021 with the assistance of a business manager referred to her by Lisa Rinna.
Interesting.
And so what this complaint is alleging is, hey, EJ Global is a complete shell company that has no capital. It has a single owner. It has no separate books, no current bank accounts, or other type of indicia or evidence of a corporate formality.
Wow.
So they're alleging that this EJ Global is actually a personal services company for Erika Jane. And do I know exactly the logistics between like a C Corp and isn't it like a difference between a C Corp and an S Corp?
Yeah, but it's like mainly about how they're taxed and like corporate structure.
And so so it really comes down to a tax issue and receiving tax benefits of some sort. And so they say the purpose of EJ Global was merely an instrumentality to funnel a large-scale tax fraud from the debtor to benefit defendant Jane. So in this case, the debtor is Girardi Keys.
Right.
So they say, hey, look, like we're alleging this and we assume this is what Erika's going to say back in her response to our amended complaint, that Erika never received payments directly from the debtor. Therefore, she's not liable.
Right.
And let's just say if EJ Global is liable, Erika doesn't think she's personally liable as a result of that because she's plain dumb.
Yeah, exactly.
For a lack of a better term.
Yeah.
But then the trustee that filed this complaint is saying, no. Any payment that you received was for your benefit and is therefore your responsibility.
Right. Because there's like no legitimate business here.
No. And so I don't know if people have heard, but some other podcasts have made reference to this where there was this case that was settled and Tom represented one of the parties, and it was the Marston versus Marston case, and it was settled in 2012. And so in this settlement, Tom agreed to divert and transfer his right to attorney's fees from the court. Sorry, not from the court. Divert and transfer his right to receive attorney's fees through the court-approved settlement in the form of an ongoing stream of payments from the state of California lottery. You may think, what the hell does a lottery have to do with this?
Right. Why is the lottery involved?
Marston versus Marston, the two individuals, one of them had won a lottery, the California lottery.
Right.
And so it was this dispute over payments. They were husband and wife.
No, daughter and father.
Oh, daughter, father. Sorry.
Yeah.
I thought for some reason it was husband and wife. Daughter, father. And so
farter.
And so what they said is instead of taking a lump sum for the attorney fees, we're going to put it into an account and it's going to be, the payments are going to be dispersed for long terms. And it was on this payment schedule.
Yeah.
And so
you have the option to take the lump sum or payments. So I guess she took the payments. and then they gave them to Erika.
Well, in settlements too, and it happens a lot of times, at least in my experience, when I studied medical malpractice in law school, is there are these annuity accounts that are set up on behalf of victims of malpractice, and especially people that are like traumatically injured and have like debilitating injuries where they need lifetime
victims.
Well, yes, exactly. Where they need long-term payments. Instead of doing one lump sum, they set up an annuity account to ensure the victim is constantly receiving maybe monthly payments to make sure that they're forever taken care of.
Which is what Tom kind of convinced Rio Gomez that he was getting, but really he wasn't.
He didn't do it.
He didn't do that at all.
So in this account, though, with these payments that were coming from the California State Lottery for the attorney's fees that Tom was awarded, if you look at the agreement, it's in Erika's name.
Yeah.
So Erika's the one that's receiving these payments. And so she had received more than $242,658 from the state of California between 2012 and 2021. And in the grand scheme of Erika Jane and Girardi, this isn't a huge amount of money, but it is money that really should have been going to Girardi Keese, not to Erika.
As a payment because the whole point was, this was how Tom was getting paid for working on this case.
Yes.
So instead of the money going into the business, it's like, here, Erika, have it.
So it's really weird and these blurred.
The daughter's in it too.
It's so strange. Yeah. Why is the money being transferred to Erika? Why is this money not going into an account for the firm?
Right.
And it's like, was Girardi Keese aware that this money was then going to Erika Jane and not being deposited in the firm's account? I don't know at this point, but anyways, so fast forward to now. So Tom and Erika were scheduled to receive $78,000 in payments from the state of California in the years of 2022 to 2025. So like we said, she agreed to receive these payments from per stipulation, which is just an agreement between the parties. This is where it gets a little icky.
Oh.
So the trustees are alleging that at all times prior to 2021, Erika Jane concealed the existence of this account, and she willfully concealed the income from the trustees after the Chapter 7 relief was entered.
So Erika was purposely being like, hey,
allegedly,
I'm not going to give you any access. Like, she didn't even mention that she had it.
Based on what's in the information belief of the trustees,
was omitted.
There was probably a willful and intentional omission that was taking place on Erika's part.
Interesting.
And so the only reason why it sounds like it came to light was because she was confronted by the trustees council about this eventually. So It says, as of right now, so remember, we said that she was to receive payments throughout this. So there's a payment that came out for 2021. And so the trustees are currently holding the payment in the amount of $19,760 in a trust account as agreed upon with Erika. So no one's can touch it. It's just going to sit in this account. However, it's really fascinating. And this is like where like the dirtiness of Erika shows.
Yeah.
And like that vengeful kind of spiteful side of her is that she's refused to release this money, even though she has no legal claim to it, because she wasn't the attorney. And she wasn't an attorney. She wasn't the attorney who earned the fees.
She didn't do any work on the case.
It's like what all of the women have been talking about throughout this season. It's like, and Garcelle, most of all Garcelle, saying it's about the victims. It's like, if you knew you had this $19,000 just sitting in an account, why would you not just say, take it? Like, take it. I didn't earn it. It's not my money. Do what you want with it. Like, well,
and like clearly the person that I'm married to has stolen this money, and this money does not belong to me or any of us.
Technically, the $19,000, like the attorney's fees, wasn't stolen because he was entitled to it. But it's like, as a matter of restitution, like, why not?
Right. Just give it. Give the access to it.
So the trustees say, hey, look, her unwillingness to release this money shows her knowledge and admission as to the nature of Tom's income and his operations. Which I found. Yeah.
Say that one more time.
Okay. The trustees allege that Erika's unwillingness to release the money shows her knowledge and admission as to the nature of Tom's income and operations.
Wow.
I know. And I'm really hoping that Sutton just read through this complaint and really took notes and brought that notebook with her to the reunion.
You know, Sutton and attorney Ron Richards, like, they text for sure. They're like on WhatsApp, like, hey,
this complaint was filed August 26th, this amended complaint.
Right.
So it's been out there for, a couple weeks.
And I hope they kind of talk about it in the reunion, but I doubt they will.
Me too. Okay.
But know Sutton has this memorized.
So let's move in.
What paragraph are you at?
I don't even know.
Oh, okay.
Let's move into the scary part of it.
Ooh,
spooky. Allegedly, Erika Jane spent $25 million.
No. Erika Jane has spent no less than $25,592,261.26.
And if I apply my rudimentary math, you can round up, and that's it's closer to 26 million.
It's closer to 26. Yeah. So they were like very generous, and they were like, listen, about 26 million dollars minimum.
Yeah.
And that's what they're alleging before getting
you guys
real deep in there.
You're like, why is this? How does this have anything to do with it? If this is her money that's in her account, let me tell you where this money came from. Yeah. It was direct payments from Girardi Keese into EJ Global. Direct payments. Why is a law firm paying the partner's wife business?
Right. I mean, it's like a business to business transaction, but no one's doing any business.
So this is the fun part.
Okay.
14 million of it is in American Express charges.
Wow.
11 million.
Oh my God. I'm sorry. My stomach just hurled.
I know.
$14 million.
14 million American Express and 11 million or so in vendor payments were made for defendant Erika Jane's benefit only. And so we'll go through that because they do it. Ronald Richards did an entire breakdown of her finances, I think from 2012 to 2021, with the amount of money each person received. And I'm just going to tell you, I did not see Mikey Minden's name on there.
He's in another company.
Probably.
Yeah.
It was just funny. So, okay. So something that the trustees point out in this complaint is that none of the payments that were made from Girardi Keese to EJ Global appear to be of any legitimate law firm payment.
Right.
Meaning they were for no purpose of the law firm. So
it was not like Erika brought her fucking highlighters to Girardi Keese and like read things.
So they're saying, hey, look, she's receiving all of this money, and all of this money was used for her complete benefit. Nobody else benefited from it but her.
Literally only her, to the point where she literally called it her project.
And this is another wonderful quote.
I love these.
As a result of Erika receiving the complete benefit of the receivables, she does not have any immunity or windfall from the debtor's tax fraud for her community property law firm and entertainment business. They say Erika will say she didn't know Tom was in debt or didn't know that the firm was in debt, but Erika signed all of the tax returns, numerous credit cards, and debtor payments, aka Girardi Keese's payments of her own personal expenses. And so they're saying, look, at some point, these documents are coming and being brought before her, and she's signing them. I don't have any reason to believe that they're electronic signatures. So I would assume she would have to sign them unless she has a signature stamp that somebody stamps for her. And
we have to say that if her signature is affixed to it, it's presumed to be her signature, and Erika has to prove that it's not.
Yeah, and she has to authorize it. And this is what we were talking about with this like her whole defense from the beginning, and that I think she's continued to maintain is I had no idea. And I think we've said this before, but ignorance of the law is not an excuse.
Oh yeah.
And it's not an affirmative defense, unfortunately.
No.
You can't say I did not know that was like my actions were against the law. It's like, okay. Well, unfortunately,
now you do.
Now you do.
The more you know.
The more you know, yeah. So it says in the complaint, it says, even though knowledge is not required for liability, it is alleged she knew exactly where the money was coming from when her $175,000 per month spending budget was paid each month by the law firm or the law firm's credit cards issued to her personally, as well as the submissions for payments were made by her and her alone.
Oh my God.
And of course, we need to wait and see what her response is going to be to this amended complaint. But
$175,000 a month in spending money.
But all of these allegations are so bad for Erika. And they clearly have information and evidence to suggest them because they're putting them in the complaint. And
well, it's like Sutton said, it's like if the devil himself puts the money into your LLC, you're responsible for it. And the devil himself put the money into her LLC and she fucking spent it. And she spent it out of her account.
Yeah.
She spent it out of credit cards that allegedly had Girardi Keese's name on them.
Mm-hmm. And so throughout the complaint, they kind of talk about Erika's tactics and how she's approaching these lawsuits and her behavior. And these were so interesting. I pulled this directly from the complaint. Erika's threats only prove her direct involvement in the litigation and her desperate attempts to try and intimidate her opponents with a chronic stream of motions to disrupt the investigations and the trustee's choice of counsel. And I thought that was so analogous to that conversation that Erika and Sutton had with one another at the dinner table.
Yeah.
Where it's this, she preys on the weak and she just goes them. The problem is she's interpreting Sutton's kindness for weakness. Exactly. And I think Sutton actually is a very intelligent, strong woman who could go toe to toe with Erika.
And I think she was just being polite at Kathy's dinner table where they just ate like a $400 slice of caviar pie.
Because I think that Sutton could like eviscerate Erika.
I mean, the bitch takes notes. Like, you don't fuck with the bitch who takes notes on an article about you.
Oh my God. No. And handwritten notes at that.
I know, right?
So really that's where we're at right now. The trustees are not happy with Erika. They see through everything. They're seeing through her bullshit. I'm assuming there's an investigative for a forensic accountant that's on this, tracking down everything because we have a breakdown of the finances.
Oh, yeah.
And you guys, so when they say, so she was paying vendors, like her makeup artist.
Yeah. The cameraman.
Yeah. And one of them actually went to the Hollywood Reporter, which I thought was really funny.
Yeah.
So we have 14 million in American Express. Looks like maybe attorney's fees.
Well, that's the other thing. They're all, where are you getting the money for these attorney's fees and costs?
Well, I wonder. Yeah. And they were questioning too. They're like, where is she getting these huge lump sums of money all of a sudden?
Yeah.
Like, who is funding her continued
legal things if she has no money.
Well, not even that, but her extravagant lifestyle that she's extravagant lifestyle that she's still maintaining. Like, let's not forget, Erika's not in a 1-bedroom apartment in the hills.
Right.
Like, she's living in Beverly Hills still, I'm pretty sure.
It's like Hancock Park or something. Yeah. Like Lana Del Rey lives in Hancock Park, I think. Like, it's a nice area. The house is over $1 million. It has 3 bedrooms. 2 of them are closets.
Yeah.
Fucking outdoor cabana house. It's like, you can chill in a Range Rover. I'm sorry. You are not slumming it.
Yeah. So just to wrap it up with the complaint, really what the trustees are saying is, hey, look, Erika and Tom, Erika specifically, is in possession and custody and control of property that the trustees could use to sell, to reimburse the creditors. And they're saying
back.
And they're saying, look, this property that Erika has is not of inconsequential value or benefit.
Right.
It is a large lump sum of money that needs to be redistributed to the creditors and go to the victims.
Yeah. 1,000%.
So of course, Erika's saying, no, this is not true. No, it's not true. So we'll see what happens. But that's our most recent update with the Girardi piece, Erika. And it's getting dark.
I mean, do you have any like off the record thoughts? Like, if we can we like, because I just think, like, for me, like, I don't want to accuse Erika of anything, but for me, like, I want to see why the trustees allege all this stuff. I mean, because based on what I see, it's the earrings, like we talked about, the expensive house, like all this stuff that she's still having. It's like, she is getting that money from somewhere.
Well, yes. And this is what I find so odd, because let's talk about like the normal.
Sutton's like, what the fuck?
Well, let's talk about like the normal structure of family finances or a relation or in a relationship, right? You are spending out of your guys' checking, savings accounts, your personal accounts that you have. Generally. And so I would have always thought like Tom's just depositing money into her own personal bank account. No, it was all going through the EJ Global, which, like they allege in the complaint, was acting as a personal services account, not as a real corporation. So she was just, the money was being funneled through that account and she was just spending. And like you said, it's
calling
for tax,
it business expenses.
And like you said, it's for tax purposes because she's getting a higher, her taxes are lower through a corporation than they would be personally.
Right.
And so it's just, of course, I want Erika to be innocent. Of course, I want everyone to be paid out. And
right. We want everything to be hunky dory. And guess what? It's just not.
It's not. That's just the life we live.
That's just the life we live.
It
so
is.
Speaking of criminal behavior, you got any this week?
Oh, do I? First of all, I had some prepared. And remember how I told you I thought it was my criminal behavior was from the nail salon?
Yeah.
No, it was actually something that I thought of when I was reading my book.
Oh.
But I cannot recollect what it was. And so I was able to think of a handful when I was riding my Peloton this morning, my Peloton.
Oh, yeah.
And this might be an attack if we do have any male listeners. This may be an attack on you. And I just want to say sorry. But my criminal behavior is when men can lose weight quicker than women.
Oh my God.
And when I say lose weight, it's like, I'm going to cut a soda out of my diet and they drop 30 pounds. A day. Yeah, a soda a day out of their diet and they drop 30 pounds. Mind you, I'm doing a 35-minute to 45-minute cardio workout every day.
What the fuck is that?
Starving myself. And I gain weight.
I mean, I've been eating carrots. Like, I'm going to turn fucking orange, riding my Peloton, doing yoga every morning with George Glass. And I swear to God, he like picks up a couple heavy things and he's like buff.
Oh yeah. And I'm sure you dropped a pant size.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, okay. So can you not watch me put these leggings on because it's going to burn the image into your head and you'll never find me attractive again. But go on with your weight lossy self.
Yeah, that was mine. I was just like really fuming when I was on the Peloton today. I was like, fuck these men. They can lose weight.
Exactly.
Okay, what's yours?
Mine is, oh my God, AirPods. Oh my God, so many. And one of them was Peloton related, but mine is AirPods dying unevenly.
Wow. We've had this conversation.
What the fuck?
We've had this conversation off the record because I have put my AirPods in at one point. One of them was at 1% and the other one was at 80.
What the
do not
fuck?
understand it. It makes no sense.
It doesn't make any sense. Like, are they not magneting into the case appropriately? What's going on?
And let's also talk about the fact that this is like an additional criminal behavior as it relates to AirPods. Let's talk about the fact that when you put an AirPod in, it picks up all of the wrong noise.
Oh my God. It's like, tell me how I can hear every little piece of salt on the chip that you're eating exist, but I can't hear the sentence that you're saying. I don't.
Lauren and I have these conversations all the time because we are frequent AirPod users.
Yeah.
And we talk for such long periods throughout the day.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how many times like I've been in my house and Lauren's like, who's that talking? And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Or like, why are the seagulls so loud? I'm like,
oh
what are you
my
talking
God,
about?
The seagulls will be so loud. Sometimes it's hard to edit them out of this podcast sometimes.
And so I'll take my AirPod out and like I'll look and there's a man that's like 100 yards away from our apartment talking.
Yeah, it's crazy. Okay. Well, I think that's it. And next week we're going to cover some
the Rinna Beauty.
Rinna Beauty.
You know, I thought that was a really fun episode. Talking about
we'll
Erika.
Get into it. Oh, that was a fun episode.
Talking about Erika and just like getting back into the nitty-gritty of it all.
I'm renewed.
Yeah, I needed
Revive.
that. And I feel like we're going to feel that same renewal when we get to Jen Shaw.
Oh, that's happening on Sunday, by the way. That's tomorrow. I got a nice bottle of whiskey, so I'm ready to go.
Maybe I'll save my bottle of wine for then or get another one.
Yeah.
Okay, guys.
Okay, we'll see you next week.
Talk to you next week. Bye.
Bye.